Hey everyone, and welcome to Cooking Companion TV. I'm Jenna Edwards, and this is a recipe demo of Rame di Napoli, or Copper of Naples, cookies. There's a beautiful story behind these Sicilian treats, which I'll go into later, but essentially they're supposed to represent aged copper coins that turn brown with a hint of green, and they're mostly associated with the Day of the Dead. But with the flavors of clove and chocolate and cinnamon and orange marmalade, they're fabulous for any fall or winter holiday. As with anything from the old world, there are several variations, and families will all have their own recipes. Even I mixed together a couple of recipes to avoid less common ingredients. There's a lot of ingredients, so let's prep all that first. We need 50 grams of tea biscuits, which is pretty vague, so just look for something that's like a basic flat cookie thing with a buttery flavor. I'm curious to know how vanilla wafers work, so someone can try that and report back to us. And we need to crush them up into coarse crumbs. I put them in a plastic bag and just went to town. You could also use a food processor. And then cover them in full fat milk to form a cream. You'll need to let them soak for a few minutes and then stir them to test the consistency. In both recipes I used, there's not really a measurement of the milk because it depends on the cookies, but you can estimate you'll need 1.5 to 2 cups of milk total, maybe using about a cup-ish in this part. Now in a large, very large bowl, add 4 cups of unbleached all-purpose flour, 2 eggs, 1 cup of sugar, 7 tablespoons of melted butter, 1 tablespoon of honey, 1 tablespoon of orange marmalade, 1 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of ground cloves, which you'll notice is not what I'm doing here. I misread and I measured out 1 tablespoon, which is definitely overkill on cloves. Luckily, it's fairly easy to scoop out most of it. Moving along, 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and a tablespoon of vanilla extract. Whew, that's a full bowl. Now we'll stir up those soaked cookie crumbs and add to all of this. And stir to combine. Now, how many of you would like to take a bet that I should be doing this in a stand mixer with a much larger bowl? I may have upgraded my filming setup, but I'm still underestimating the size of my ingredients and trying to squeeze too much into too little. But let's just see how I fare here. Once this is pretty much combined, you'll add more milk. A little at a time, still stirring with a wooden spoon until it reaches the consistency of a thick pastry cream. It should give a little, but mostly it should hold its own shape. The tricky part about having lots of batter in any size bowl is the hidden pockets of too wet or too dry batter. So I'm mainly digging around to find those before I stop or add more liquid. But also, you don't really want to beat the batter too hard or else you'll activate the gluten in the batter and the cookies will be tough. Then again, if you don't stir it enough, your cookies will be lumpy. So what's the solution? Just do it all with a mixer, electric or stand. That way you can get a good mix without beating it too hard. And you do have to let the batter rest for an hour. So I started scooping out these cookies before I let the batter rest. And I can't say that they turned out any different than the other ones, but I do think you'll have an easier time shaping the cookies after they've rested. Now while they rest, preheat the oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit and line baking sheets with parchment paper. And this batch I put into the stand mixer for just a couple minutes to smooth it out, and then I let it rest, so it's a little sticky, and I think it's a tad overbeaten because it's almost like bread the way it stretches out. And you'll need about a 1/4 cup of batter per scoop, and you'll try to shape each scoop into something like an egg. These are huge. They're less cookies and more like small fudgy cakes. And this recipe makes a lot, but you can freeze them. So with the shape, you want them to be round on top like little mounds. And they'll bake for 10 to 15 minutes until they appear dry, and you may need to rotate them halfway through. So here are my 2 batches of hand beaten on the right versus stand mixer on the left. You may see a little dark spot in the middle of the cookies, which is the middle of the cookie that is partially cooked. Now, as they cool, that will cook a little more, leaving them appropriately moist. You don't want them to overbake and dry out. Now, they'll need to fully cool before you add the chocolate glaze. And while they cool, you can crush your pistachios if you need to, about 1.5 cups. And when they're ready, you can make the chocolate glaze by melting 200 grams of dark chocolate with 70 grams of butter and heat it up on low in the microwave or in a double boiler. And dip the tops of the cookies into the chocolate. The final touch is to sprinkle the crushed pistachios on top. And then you let the chocolate cool. There's your beautiful Copper of Naples cookies. These cookies are traditionally from Catania in Sicily, prepared especially for the Day of the Dead around November 2nd. Though the exact origin of these cookies are mixed, the likely origin of the name comes when Sicily joined the Kingdom of Naples. The Sicilian king used copper coin alloys to replace the gold and silver. Now, these cookies were given to the children of the town as a gift from their deceased relative, hence the association with Day of the Dead. Now, I've been researching this holiday and the customs and the foods to host my own Day of the Dead party, and I found out that parts of Italy have their own rituals and traditions, not just Mexico and Latin America, which has been really fun to explore. And this is just one of the unique elements that I'm going to have at my party. But that is it for this recipe demo of Rame di Napoli. Get the ingredient list below or at cookingcompaniontv.com/Copper of Naples. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it and subscribe to this channel for more demos just like this. I'm Jenna Edwards and thanks for watching.